Hello and welcome to another new episode of Learning Simplified. In this tutorial, we are going to know about the basic shapes used in Inkscape, so stay tuned. Okay, now let's hop into the basic of this tutorial, how to use basic shapes of this Inkscape software. And in doing so, if we head back to our tools panel, this is the tools panel that I had discussed in the last tutorial. And in the first case, this is the rectangle which is been used in Inkscape. Now before we start, I would like to say you that remember, Inkscape always remembers the last setting which is been applied to its individual components. This is the first thing. So if we draw this individual shape here, this is the rectangle shape which is been used in Inkscape. Now just drag this thing and leave it. And now if we leave it, we can see that there are these two individual squares right over here. This is the square 1 and this is the square 2. But in this extreme case, we can see that there goes a circle. So this circle, if we hold it and if we change the position of this circle, we can see that there is a kind of border radius property which is being applied to the element that we had created right now. So the objective or purpose of it is to provide a certain type of border radius property to the element, to the rectangle that we have drawn into our canvas. And if we leave it and if we just keep it in the exact same position from where we started dragging up, the square will be out there without any proper border radius. Now this thing will be happening once we have completed drawing our rectangle here. So if we now select this individual select tool here, we can see that particular configuration is gone, but now it is being represented with some arrows right over here. All those arrows, those are practically directional arrows. This is the height arrow with which we can manipulate the height of this individual square, and this is the width arrow which practically manipulates width of this individual rectangle. By dragging it, we can practically change the dimension of this individual box. And another thing, perhaps you might notice that this box is a little bit of transparent. This is because of the fact that in my last setting I had used a reduced opacity in my project, and that is why the same exact thing is been reflected here, as I had told you at the very beginning of this tutorial that Inkscape always remembers the last setting. Now in the next case, if we wish to add some border radius to this individual element, then all we need to do, we need to click on this individual rectangular box. So I'll be clicking it right now, left clicking it right now, and you can see that the same configuration which we confronted in our last setting when we draw this rectangle into our canvas, the exact same configuration is back. And right now, if we drag holding this individual circle here, you might see that this is the circle that we are talking about. There it goes. So if we now just hold it, hold the left mouse right over here and drag it, and we can see that this individual border radius property is back. If we wish to get back to our directional arrows, then we need to click on this select option right over here, and we can see that the directional arrows are back. Now if we click on it once again, we can see that the nature of these directional arrows are right now changed. So if we now drag this thing off like this, we can see that we can practically rotate the rectangle with the anchor in the middle, as we can see right over here. So this individual tilted arrow, it practically determines the angular rotation of the element. If we wish to change the axis of rotation, then all we need to do, we need to remove this individual anchor point from the middle to a particular side. For say I am choosing this bottom left corner. I have placed the anchor point in this bottom left corner. Now if we move this arrow rotating, we can see that right now the box, its axis is now shifted into this bottom left corner, and this whole rectangular box is now rotating along with the bottom left corner as the center of its axis. So there it goes. This is how you might change the axis of rotation right over here. You may change different locations for it. All you need to do, you need to put that anchor point in the exact same position where we wish your anchor point to be. Leave it up to there. You need to drag it and leave it up to there, and then you need to rotate your element around that particular axis point. So this is the next thing that we had discussed right over here, and all we are going to do, we are going to place it right in the center where it is used to be, where it was supposed to be. And all those things here, these arrows along into the y-axis and into this x-axis, those practically determine the transform of this individual rectangular element. Like if we place it over here, we can see that the skewing does here, as we can see, and this skewing takes place along the vertical y-axis. Here it goes. On the other hand, if we keep it here, this will involve skewing along the x-axis. So this is how you may change the skewing properties of your element. You can drag it and you can repose the skewing of the element. Definitely we can see that there are two kind of directional arrows into our elements. The first one that practically changes the dimension of this individual rectangular element here along the y-axis
and along the x-axis.
That means you may change the width and the height of an individual rectangular element. On the other hand, if we click on this individual element again, we will be turning on the rotating keys here, these rotating arrows, and these are the skewing arrows which will be activated in that particular case. So this is how you may change everything right over here. And another thing, in case if we wish to revert back into the previous state where no border radius property was allotted to our element, then there are some certain ways that we can revert it back. But first of all, we'll see how to change the color property of this individual rectangle here. If we head back to the bottom of this Inkscape software project, we can see that there goes an individual palette which is holding many kind of colors right over here. So if we choose A, B, C, D, any kind of arbitrary color here, for say we are choosing this red, pure red code here, click on it. What did we see right over here? We saw that the individual rectangle here, it changes its color properties once we have clicked any kind of color into the bottom palette of our canvas. This is how we might change the fill color of any individual element. But if we have a closer look here, first of all, we'll be choosing this pure white, and we can see that there's practically no stroke color right over here. So in case if we wish to provide some kind of stroke color, then all we need to do, get back to this bottom palette, press and hold down your shift key and press any color that we want. So I have chosen red as the stroke color here, and we can see that immediately a stroke color is now appearing into this individual shape. So this is how we will be able to change the fill and the stroke color of any individual element of our project. If we want to change the fill color, we need to get back to the bottom palette and we need to select any of these individual color elements right over here. We may select any kind of color here. Suppose we are choosing this violet color, and we can see that immediately that color is turned on, but the stroke color is still red. So if we wish to change this stroke color to something else, like for say we will be changing it to yellow, so all we need to do, head back to this bottom palette, press and hold down shift and click over this yellow, and you can see that the stroke color is now changed. We may change the width of this individual stroke. So all those fill and stroke color properties will be dealt with later. And in the last case, as we had told previously, if we wish to revert back into the original shape of this rectangle, that is, we do not wish to have any kind of border radius property. Now if we click here twice, we can see that the circle in the extreme top right position is back. The same exact configuration is back. So one thing you might do, that you may try to restore the circle back into its original position to revert back to this rectangular shape without any border radius. Or if you wish to be 100% sanguine that the border radius is now removed, head back to this extreme corner and you can see that make corners sharp. This is the option. If we click on it, we can see that the original shape of this rectangular without any border radius property is reverted back. So these are the things that we had learned in this tutorial. If you guys have liked this tutorial, then do not hesitate to hit that red subscribe button down below. Hope to see you guys in our next tutorial. Till then, bye.